So in this video I am going to address some of the biggest beginner mistakes a beginner motorcyclist makes and how to get a, better start with your new love for motorcycles. And welcome to the club. And right before we jump into the video, if you do like motorcycle content, please like this video and consider subscribing for future content. It would be much appreciated. Skipping and neglecting proper training is a big mistake. Getting your driver's license does not make you a champion, but taking training courses afterwards will teach you even more skills, but also more advanced techniques. So you can ride more safely and with much more confidence. And the more comfortable you are on a bike, the better you will tackle a dangerous situation and you will be better to keep your cool while riding. So training courses is never a bad investment and it's often on some sort of a track. So that's just a win-win. And the more you ride, the better you will be. So failing to wear the appropriate gear is a very dangerous but also yet a very common mistake. It is 2023 and there are so many different options of riding gear, and often it is people's self-esteem that does they ride in no gear because they want to look cool. In my opinion, you don't look cool while riding in a t-shirt. Just think about what will happen. What is the first thing that happens if you fall off your motorcycle? You're trying to avoid your body hitting the asphalt with your hands. You're protecting your face by using your hands. So that is the first thing you try to grab something with if you fall. So riding with no gloves, is that a good idea? Probably not. So if you're living in a hot area, just at least ride in a body armor and a pair of Kevlar jeans. Dress for the slide, not the ride. And having such a filthy bike as I have should also be a crime. Pushing yourself over your skill level is a recipe for disaster. And this often happens because the most of us has a more skilled friend, a more skilled rider friend, and therefore trying to hang up on them while riding can be super dangerous. Gradually improve your skill set before attempting more advanced maneuvers such as cornering and riding at high speeds. Be confident in the skill level you are at and don't try to impress anybody. Getting home in one piece is still the coolest shit to do. Ignoring regular maintenance is also a very common mistake. Be good at maintaining your bike, for example washing it like I'm doing now, but oil changes, chain adjustments, tire inspections, it just make your bike always ride in the optimal condition. Not only will you tear up your bike much faster if you don't, but also get used to looking at your bike, because then you will also be much faster to troubleshoot if anything happens to your bike. And I know buying the newest Acropovich exhaust will make it rad, but your front fork oil will look at you as the neglected son of yours. And then it's also just much safer to ride on a bike that is A-OK than on a bike that suddenly pops a front fork seal or suddenly only have 70% brake force. Failing to make yourself visible to other users of the road is also a mistake. And here I'm not talking about using high-vis gear or something like that, but placing yourself on the road so you are visible for other users. Doing quick overtakes, lane splitting and stuff like that is nice tools to have in your toolbox. But don't do them until you are confident to be able to avoid a potential crash. I know you're not gonna like this one, but I'm so happy that someone told me this when I got my first motorcycle or was about to purchase my first motorcycle. And I know you do you, but you decide what bike to purchase as your first bike. But buying a too big of a bike as your first motorcycle is also a very big mistake, because gaining confidence on a 1000cc motorcycle is a much longer process if you start on a smaller motorcycle. For example, a 400cc, because a 400cc bike is lighter, it's smaller, and it's much more agile. If a 1000cc motorcycle is your first bike, you will get much more mental fatigue much faster than if you were starting on a small motorcycle, because you have to try taming a beast all the time instead of learning how to ride a motorcycle. I hope this makes sense to you. It's much more fun to ride on a bike where you can become better than the bike than the opposite way. So I did that. I started on a Kawasaki KLX 250. One of the best bikes I've ever owned. It was a off-roader, so it was a tall bike, so I had perfect overview on the road. Super agile and super easy to learn how to ride a motorcycle, because as we talked about before, you're not a champion at riding a motorcycle when you get your driver's license. I should never have sold that bike. It was an amazing bike. So that was it for now. If you have any great beginners tips or just some cool tips, please share them in the comments so we all can benefit from good tips.